Okay, so this video is just going to break down what is a key and scale, because if you don't understand that, all your notes will not be in pitch. And that's just how music works. You need to pick a key and scale. Now, yeah, you can actually change a key and scale throughout a track, but that's quite advanced. But typically, you need to pick a key and scale. Okay, it gives you 7 notes. So how it works is you just go to the piano roll, and you can see here all the light ones are the notes that I'm allowed to play. So let me just show you for an example. So we have C, we have D, we have D sharp, we have F, we have G, we have the G sharp and the A sharp. And then you can see it goes to C6 from C5. So this is what's called an octave. So we have 12 notes. Let's see if I can hit them all down at the same time. Okay, these are the 12 notes that we have, and then it goes up an octave. Okay, that's just how music works. We have 12 notes in an octave, but you actually only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. And what if I clone them? You can see it just does the same thing. And what do you notice? These are light, right? These are the light ones. So how it works is you come up here, you're going to go to view, and you are going to go to scale highlighting. Okay, now I personally select it on minor natural because I like to play in C minor, but you guys can select whatever you want. So for example, if you like C major, you can see that C major is all white notes. So watch: C, D, E, F, G, A, and the B. And then it goes back to C. So that is a scale. So which means that whenever you're programming your notes, you can see that the dark ones, these ones are not in your scale. The light ones are. Okay, so if you ever programming your notes, if you don't want to look over here, you could just do stuff like this, right? But so let's just select a different one, okay? So I usually like to always select a key and scale with both white and black notes, and that is why I like the C minor natural. I like this one. But again, you can select like a G minor or G major. Maybe we'll select that one. So you can see that when it comes to G, I think they selected G major, right? Let's just look at that again. So we have scale highlighting, we have G major. So it doesn't matter what key and scale you select. So typically in, when we make beats, we're working in major and minor scales. You can be creative. You can try the other scales, whatever, but I'm telling you, major and minor. Okay. That's just what we use in our Western culture here. Okay. So here is G. Okay. Here is A. Here is B. Here is C. Here is D. Here is E. Here is F sharp, and then here's back to G. And if you look, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it just goes right back to the G5. Okay, so now if you want to play chords, the chords have to have these notes. So for example, if you want to play a G chord, okay, so it'd be like this. And many times, if I'm clicking in notes, I use like my MIDI keyboard a lot. It allows me to kind of see it quickly. Okay, so you're going to have to learn how chords work. Okay, they're not too complicated. Typically, they're 3 or more notes, and they're spaced apart, and they just allow you to they allow your music to be way more pleasing than just single notes. Now, one other thing to say is when it comes to a major and minor, the only difference is just the spacing between the notes on certain notes. Okay, so let's just walk that through just quickly. Okay, because these are what's called half steps and full steps. Now again, this is getting into music theory, and what I'm showing you here, you don't need music theory. You can literally just follow this, click in your melodies, and you know that all the notes will sound good, because how music works is it's just math. Okay, when we look at a frequency spectrum again, you can see that it's just math, right? Like, what do you see down here? You see a number. What is this number? Look at this. It's actually notes. So watch this. If we go to A4, which is right here, 1 second's coming, there. Okay, so there's A4. What do you see? 440 hertz, okay? So check this out. Let's go to A3. And what is A3? It's 220 hertz. What's 220 plus 220 or times 220? So 220 times 2, 440. So here's 220, 440. Well, what is double 440? Okay, because where do you think that's going to take us? It's going to take us to A5. So watch, we'll just double click here. A80. So watch. So 440 times 2, because that's how octaves work. They are just multiples of each other. Okay, so as you go down, it's half, and if you go up, it's double. And this is what makes music pleasing. Okay, so without getting super intense into theory and math, because if you are always thinking that way, you're not going to enjoy your beat making, okay? Because you're going to spend a lot of time trying to learn music theory. And so right here, this is the secret. Picking a key and a scale. These are the 7 notes that you're allowed to play depending on the key and scale that you select. So for example, if we go back to scale highlighting, I'm going to go to C and minor. The biggest thing I suggest to you that if you're wanting to learn to improvise on a piano is picking a key with both white and black notes, because it allows your hands to know like where you are on the piano, even without looking at a piano. If you select only white notes, which is what C major was, then it's going to be really, really hard to know where your hands are on a piano, because you don't know, like you can't really feel, because it's all white notes, if that makes sense. So picking a key and scale with white and black notes allows you to be able to improvise on a piano as you start to improve. And then what I suggest to you guys is learning about chords, okay? Now, for me personally, I just use basic chords, okay? So, stuff like this. And you can even use what's called a sus2 and a sus4. So for example, instead of playing like a triad, you can kind of be like here, or it can be like here, okay? So this is called a sus4 and this is a sus2. And so let's just click in all the notes again. And so again, when it comes to this music theory stuff, the difference between a major scale and a minor scale is just the amount of steps, okay? So like half steps and full steps. So as you can see, a full step is from C to D. And let's just make this bigger, make it a little easier to see on the keys, okay? So you can see that a black note is in the way right here, okay? So we go from C to D, and that is a full step. So essentially we have a half step and then another half step, which is what they call a full step. And then you can see that the next note is a half step, okay? Now we don't use the E, so which means that from the D sharp to the F is a full step. And so when it comes to a major and a minor scale, it's just the difference of some of these full and half steps, okay? So for example, if this is the C minor, you can see that we can go to scale highlighting, and if we go major, you can see right here that this D sharp is not in the scale. So you can see that that is a difference. So you can see that it goes C, D, E, and then here is where the half step is, okay? Whereas in the minor, this was a full step. Okay, so again, if you're looking at this and you're like, oh, this sounds confusing. Well, it is, but it isn't, because once you learn the basics of major and minor, then you can figure out any key and scale. But what I'm trying to share with you is we have computers, and you want to learn just to make beats, and to make it as simple as possible, just select a key and a scale that has both white and black notes, okay? Because when you go to play the keys, I'm telling you, you want to learn how to play the keys. You will actually be able to feel where your hands are, and this is how simple it is. So you can see that now I selected a minor scale, and you can see that the E is not in there, so it's there. Okay, so all of the light ones are where you can put your notes. Now, if you're going to play chords, they also have to have these 7 notes. Now, throughout the song, yes, you can change the key and scale if you want, but you are getting it super advanced. I highly suggest keep things super, super simple, and you will learn to make some really awesome melodies. So again, here we go, watch. Right, do you see that? Right, because I've learned to play the keys over the years, and you can see that I am playing all in the key of C minor, and that's the secret. So that's too high, so you can't see that. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And there you go. Okay, so that is the secret. Okay, so picking a key and a scale, FL Studio makes it easy on you that you are able to select a key and scale, and you can see the notes you're allowed to play. So when you're going to go click in your notes, well, no, you can't click it here. You can't click it here. You can't click it here. And you might ask why. The answer is it's math. All of these are harmonically pleasing to each other. So someone who's super, super smart figured out how major and minor scales work. We just follow it. We have 7 notes we're allowed to play. You want to learn to play the piano. Pick one key and scale with both white and black notes. Learn improvisation. And I'm telling you, you will go very, very far with your music. Okay?